I promise you guys something stupid, and here's something you shouldn't do. As most of you know, the Ryzen 5600x is currently the only 5000 series CPU that comes with a stock cooler from AMD. But what if you didn't want to use AMD's stock cooler? Well, you'd typically buy an aftermarket air cooler, a closed loop cooler, or go custom cooling, right? Not today. Today we're creating an absolute abomination by pairing an Intel stock cooler with an AMD Ryzen 5600x to see if the bare minimum cooling Intel recommends for their non-overclockable CPUs can keep up with AMD's latest and greatest 6-core CPU. And fingers crossed, my poor 5600X won't die. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how this is even possible. I mean, AMD Ryzen 5600X uses AM4 mounting solution, and the Intel stock cooler doesn't. So some of you may even be new here from David Does Tech stuff and thinking that I'm going to fashion something custom to mount this Intel stock cooler onto the AMD motherboard, but it's actually much more simple than that, and we'll get into that in a bit. So let me talk you through what we're going to do in this video. We're going to plug in the Ryzen 5600X using the AMD stock cooler that comes with it, because we want to see what the stock results are from the CPU, how it should behave. Check frequencies, thermals, bench test it. Then what we're going to do is swap out to this motherboard. This is the Azerock X570 Phantom Gaming. This is actually one of very few AMD motherboards that uses an Intel mounting solution. The same mounting solution, 115X 1200 for the newer ones, this has been around since 2009. So what we're going to do is take the 5600X, drop it into this motherboard, and mount the Intel stock cooler to see if Intel can tame Ryzen and potentially kill a $300 CPU. Let's find out. So for our control, we actually need to use a different motherboard, something to accommodate our Wraith Stealth CPU cooler. And that's going to be the Asus B550i Gaming. A great motherboard, albeit quite expensive. I'll drop my review of it and my parts list for this video in the description for you. But the Asus motherboard actually has a weaker VRM solution than the Azerock Phantom Gaming. But something tells me that isn't going to be the limiting factor here. But another thing to note is that we're going to be using an Icy Diamond graphite pad for both systems to keep the thermal interface material consistent between the two. So what I'm going to do here is go into Q fan control and set a fan curve. So 100% fan speed at 75C, 35C, 60%. So we're going to use that same fan curve across both systems to keep it fair, to see what happens. Okay, so now that we're boosted up into Windows, what I've done is I've started hardware info and we have OBS running so that we can keep an eye on everything. So this is actually going to be our stock result, stock idle, how the system performs with nothing really under load. I mean, it does have OBS running, but there's nothing else on this system. We're running at like 2-3% CPU usage. So I've reset hardware info. I've let it run for nearly 16 minutes now. Okay, so our average clock is 3650 roughly, around 1.01 volts. And then our CPU T-die is, what's our average? 37.9. Okay, that's really good, especially for idle, that's actually quite good results. Now let's see if we can hammer this 5600X a little bit. So bear in mind that we are running with the Wraith Stealth CPU cooler and the Asus B550 ITX board. So now we're going to run OCCT and hammer the CPU a little bit. We're probably just going to do the large data set, whatever it's set to. So it's version 6.1.1, which apparently is outdated, but I don't really care. So large data set, thread count is auto, so that will use all of it. Instruction set is auto. Let this run for about 20 minutes to make sure that we've properly thermally saturated the CPU cooler. I mean, it is a tiny CPU cooler. 20 minutes is probably a little bit overkill, but we might as well do that. Why not? But after 30 seconds, let's have a look and see what's happening. So cores, we're looking at 1.15-ish. There we go. Our clocks are 4.3 to 4.35-ish. That's pretty good, actually. Then our T-die has jumped straight to 71 from, what was it, from 39? That is a big difference, actually. So what we'll do is we'll let that run for about 20 minutes. We'll then come back and record the data for about 10 minutes. That'll be more than long enough for us to get pretty accurate data on this. Then we get to try the Intel stock cooler. God, this is going to be a weird test. Okay, so 30 minutes has passed. We've actually done 20 minutes running OCCT and then another 10 minutes on top of that with a data reset on hardware info. So what we're going to do is check that over now, see how our results have gone. I haven't even seen them yet, so it'll be interesting. Okay, so core vid. So 1.114, that looks to be a pretty good number for this CPU. Okay, so let's scroll down. Okay, 79.3C on T-die, that's pretty high. I mean, it's not alarmingly high. The CPU can go up to 95, and the boosting algorithm will definitely fix a high temperature if needed. But speaking of the boosting algorithm, let's have a look and see what our average is. It's about 4.1, 4.15. Cool, that's pretty good for a stock Wraith stealth cooler. I mean, the CPU can boost up to 4.6, but this is going to be on specific cores, on specific like workloads. This is an all-core hammering using OCCT. 4.15, that's not bad at all. So the next thing that I want to do is hammer a Cinebench run really quickly. Go boom, stop, and start. And see what that looks like. What we're also going to do before that starts is reset that. So this has put our average clock at under 4 gigahertz right now. So, and that's a score of 9,916 points. That's pretty warm and lower clocks than I was expecting. And this is from AMD stock cooler. This is before we put Intel's in. So what say we do the unthinkable? Let's swap this over. This is such a stupid idea. Okay, so let's disassemble, set up the ASRock motherboard with the Intel stock cooler, and yeah, rerun the tests. Fuck. Okay, let's pop in Mr. Ryzen. Oh God. I've got to have the Intel logo facing the right way. God, I'm not a monster. Oh, and ASRock's big fucking heat sinks are getting in the way, you twat. God, just you. Rather fucking irritating. Oh, here we go. Cool, nice, well done. A 5600X being cooled by an Intel stock cooler. About as weird as it gets. Okay, so I want to see immediately hardware info. What are we running? What's temps look like? Sensors run, let's go. Okay, so we're running at the same like 2, 3, 4% CPU utilization as we were before on the AMD stock cooler. And we are sitting at an average clock of about 3.7, but we are running at a CPU T-die of 40 degrees C. What's that? That's only like 3 more degrees on idle. This is like within the first minute or so, similarly to the other one that we did, sort of an idle glance over, see how everything's running. That's interesting. So that means that there's only one thing left. Are we really gonna do this? All right. Let's do this. Okay, Intel stock cooler versus Ryzen 5600X, 6-core AMD processor that turbos up to 4.6. Let's do this. Okay, so we're looking at T-die, shot straight up to 74 and climbing rapidly, 75, 76 and a half. What do our clocks look like? Mid 4.4. But then again, because of how the frequency boosting works, this is going to climb, 79.3, and this is going to drop. Oh, we're not even a minute and a half in, we're at 85. Oh. Oh wow. And we're meant to be doing like a 20-minute saturation to do a 10-minute data logging. I think we might hit the 95 max. The room is 23.8 degrees. I don't know if you guys can see that. T-die average and TCL T-die is all over the maximum rated for this CPU. Oh, current is 95 for all of them. Oh, listen to that poor cooler. That isn't a nice noise. The funny thing is, that's not the CPU cooler you're hearing. That's the chipset fan. That is beastly loud. Why is that so loud? Oh, that is warm. Oh, I feel bad. I feel very, 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 very bad. This is kind of horrible to watch. This is really not comfortable. I trust that it will save itself at some point. I really hope that I don't kill this CPU. Clocks are at 4.1, but I mean, we're right up to the thermal limit. Like we're, even current, we're 1.5 degrees off. I expected this to be under 4 gigahertz, like maybe 3.8, 3.7. 3.7 is base for this CPU. Like, if you're not running at 3.7, when you're 3 degrees off your max, when are you going to run at 3.7? Is base clock even a thing? Yeah, our minimum has been 3.95. and our maximum temperature has been 97.3. I don't even know what to make of this. Oh, this is really uncomfortable. But we're still running at like 4.15, 4.2. Our average after 6 minutes has been 91.2 degrees C. Oh no, this really isn't good. I've got to walk away because I just can't look at this. It's just making me nervous. I mean, I keep reassuring myself that 95 is the max for these CPUs, and CPUs are smart enough nowadays that they should save themselves before they kill themselves. We are just about to cross the 30-minute mark, which means that we have collected 10 minutes of data. Well, the CPU hasn't died yet, so that's a very good sign. And I haven't lost out on $300, which is also a very good thing. So let's go from the top. So our temperature has been an average of 93.5 degrees C. That is 1.5 degrees C off the max for AMD. And the max was exceeded at least once. Well, I know that was exceeded a few times because, you know, I panicked my pants off. But we maxed out at 97.3 degrees C on the data that we collected 20 minutes after we hit start, and for 10 minutes subsequent to that. So our clocks have been 4.09? Yeah, pretty much. It's 4.08 highs. So that's surprisingly high. If the base is 3.7 and we're exceeding what the thermal limit should be for this CPU, why are we not significantly closer to 3.7? Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. Like, why would we be almost 400 megahertz over the base for this CPU when we're exceeding the thermal limit of it? We are running no AVX, so it's not an AVX workload, but 400 megahertz is not an AVX difference at that point. That is kind of crazy. And we're running at 1.104 would be the average on that. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is run a Cinebench test really quickly. So it's same as before, kickstart Cinebench. Okay, 3.9 gigahertz with Cinebench. High 3.9, but we're still running at 4 gigahertz on that. That's crazy. We've dropped voltage quite substantially. So what is our temp at the moment? Yeah, we're right on it. We're averaging at the max CPU temp. And we're climbing. 95.5 degrees C current, 95.3, 94.8. Be interesting to see if this comes down after a couple runs. No, 95.5. It's absolutely 95. We are currently sitting above the thermal limit of this CPU, running at 3.9 gigahertz, 3.95, which is 250 megahertz over the base, and we're exceeding thermal limits. Don't do this. Just don't. Because we're running outside of spec. All right, what is that? 9,787. So we're 200 points off what we were with the AMD Wraith Stealth. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to stop this now because Cinebench R23 is hitting this CPU hard, but we are still running way over base. This is crazy. Maybe we can overclock the snot out of it. Who knows? Another day. Let's end that. Okay, let's recap, because there was a lot to digest there. There was a lot going on. The stock Wraith Stealth cooler managed to keep the 5600X cooler idle at 37.9 degrees C, whereas the Intel stock cooler at idle came in at 41.2. When we put the system under load with both of the coolers, the Wraith Stealth managed to keep the 5600X tame at 79.3 degrees at 4.16 gigahertz. Comparing this to the Intel stock cooler, which had an average temp of 93.5 degrees, that is massive. The weird thing about it though is that was only 80 megahertz lower on average. That is a huge temperature difference for not a lot of clock difference. You'd imagine that these big differences in maximum temperature would affect our minimum clock speed quite a lot. But no, there was about 100 megahertz difference in it. And when it came to our Cinebench run, there was only 130 points in it. That's less than 1.5% difference. I'm personally really surprised that Precision Boost wasn't more aggressive in that. I feel like letting the CPU get up to 97.5 while still not even being anywhere close to the base speed of the CPU, That's pretty aggressive, trying to push that CPU as hard as possible and just kind of hoping for the best. So where do we go from here, I hear you ask? Well, AMD do have a 5950X, which we could drop into this motherboard, and I might have one on the way. So comment below if you'd love to see an Intel stock cooler on an AMD 5950X 16 core 32 thread, and we'll see how that goes. We'll put an Intel stock cooler on it. So if you're not subscribed, get subscribed for that and other unique and interesting content coming up soon. But otherwise guys, a like is always appreciated, and I will see you in the next one.